Trying to boost my subscribers, I'm trying to maintain the vision. People that know me closest live different than what they show me. It's hard to feel like they know me when I'm just scrolling through images. Truth be told, I feel pain, but I'm on the pinnacle. Been chasing this music thing for a minute though. Know some good people that never see success. And here I am sitting worried about show appearances.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angeline, and she's Resa, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 120 of With the Quickness.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday indeed. Today, we're going to share our takeaways from the November 13th, 2022 sermons given at First Baptist Church in Lincoln Gardens in Somerset, New Jersey, and the church at East Point First Malibu and United Methodist Church in East Point, Georgia. Okay, Resa, what was your big takeaway from First Baptist today?
So my takeaway from today's sermon was, I will let it go in order to grow.
Okay, my big takeaway from First Baptist was Jesus was crucified for us, and yet he forgave them. So we must let go of our resentment and remember there's mercy on our lives. So what was your big takeaway from East Point First Malibu?
That not only should you have a personal relationship with Jesus, you should also be a beacon of light, and you should come out of hiding.
Okay, my big takeaway was make your connection with Jesus personal. Don't worry about impressing everyone that's looking at you when it comes to your faith. So we're going to get into more of those sermons a little bit later. But right now, we're going to move on to Resa's playlist. Resa, what's the song of the week this week?
Are we ready? It's time.
We narrowed it down to one song. This is Song of the Week, currently featured on With the Quickness Spotify playlist.
So this week, I am featuring another new artist. It's actually a Christian rapper. His name is Young C, and he has a song called Soul Ties from his album called From Another Time. It came out this past year. The song features a guy by the name of Aldra. I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, but again, the song is called Soul Ties, and it's pretty much it talks about like the consequences that happens when you end up having like premarital relations, and it's not always what it's cracked out to be, and there actually is like a negative side effect to having premarital relations. So it's a really good song. He actually reminds me of J. Cole. He is I did find some information about him, not a lot, because he is a brand new artist. So Young C is a lyricist with a style that is reminiscent of a time when A Tribe Called Quest, KRS-One, and Run DMC ruled the airways. He tells of his struggles, experiences, and triumphs as a young man growing up in his hometown of Riverside, California. So
okay, so he's a West Coast dude. Okay,
yeah.
He has some really good. So when you first heard it, could you hear the influences of KRS-One and the other rappers you mentioned just now?
Yeah, I definitely, to me, he's a really good storyteller, and he's a very good lyricist. And to me, even though KRS-One and Run DMC are mentioned, to me, he is in like the same category as a J. Cole or a Wale to me.
Okay, to you. Okay, that makes more sense. Got it. So would you recommend him to be a rapper that if you're a person that likes to listen to a lot of good rap in your car, and you just gave your life over to Christ, and you're kind of tired of them singing about women in a certain way, would you recommend that a person try Young C out in replace of some of the artists that they can't keep in rotation now they've turned their life over to Christ?
Absolutely, yeah. Like Young C, the way that he delivers his like the storytelling and the way that the instrumentation of his songs, you couldn't even tell that it was Christian gospel until you actually like paid attention to what he was saying. So he would definitely be a smooth transition from mainstream secular rap to gospel rap.
Got it. Thank you so much. So you have him as part of your playlist for this week, right? So we can listen to him on the website. Does he have like a lyric video or anything like that we can connect to the website through YouTube?
He does have a lyric video on YouTube. He does have social media platforms such as Twitter and Instagram as well.
Hopefully people will take a look on our website, listen to his song with the video and on your playlist, and decide to add it to their own playlist. So if anyone wants to add a song to your playlist, they can always email you at resa@withquickness.com, correct?
Correct.
All right. So she'll be looking for any kind of, I mean, you did a little bit of Christian country. Now you did Christian rap. I'm kind of wondering next week where you're going to go, where you're going to take us. Is rock going to be there, or is it going to be jazz? I'm just kind of wondering, classical, where are you going to take us next?
Maybe, you never know. Got to stay tuned to next Sunday's podcast.
All right, we sure will. We sure will. Now let's go on to the bulk of our show. First, we're going to stop at the Sunday services at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens, which is our home church. I would like to call it like the home of With the Quickness.
Yes.
Doesn't that sound nice to say it that way this Sunday, Resa?
It does.
First Baptist is the home of With the Quickness. I like that. Because you gave your life over to Christ at that church, and I'm a baptized member of that church. I can't wait until you are baptized.
I know.
That's going to make me so excited. But I think that's a really, really great. It's the church where I married your stepdad. So, I have a lot of great memories in that church from Pastor Soares and now with Pastor Quick. So they started off the service like usual for great praise and worship, singers and musicians. And they decided to honor our veterans this Sunday by making an announcement about it. And then they also announced the fire mixer. Now, Resa, do you notice the age range between the fire ministry? They say from 19 to 35 for this mixer. Something in me said, that doesn't sound right. And that's only because I'm so used to, the people in college, 18, 19, 20, all the way to 24, they kind of are a certain kind of a group. And then those that are in their 30s or closer to 30 and in their 30s, they talk about different things at mixers. Like if you ever went to after work mixers in downtown New Brunswick, New Jersey, and that's the city that Rutgers University is in, the things that the young people talk about is not the same things that the young professionals talk about. Have you noticed that too?
Yeah, I've noticed that. They actually make me feel older than I actually am. I'm only 31 for those that are wondering, but the 18, 19, 20, I'm just like, because they use lingo that I don't understand. And that shocks me because normally I know a lot, but I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And the things that entertain them or the things they want to talk about, it might not be on your radar. You might be worried about becoming a homeowner and, doing investments. And they're talking about, something that popped off at the college, something that popped off, between two friends or something that's on reality TV. And you're like, yeah, I watch reality TV, but not like that. I watch it to decompress. I don't really watch it to be like, following it so intensely that I don't go to work on time and stuff like that, Right.
Like I knew it was bad when I had brought up like CDs and someone said, what is a CD? I was like, oh my gosh, they don't know what a CD is.
When I knew it was bad, and I'm a professor, when I asked my class, what's the significance of Nancy Pelosi? And first, who is she? Well, some of them didn't know who she was. And then the other thing was they didn't really know the significance in the presidency and her position as Speaker of the House, that she's third in line in succession for the presidency if something happens to our president and vice president. They didn't know that. And so, and that's because they're probably freshmen. I mean, right. 18, 19-year-olds, they're kind of like, they're still learning, Right. But it's a different mindset to talk to someone in grad school compared to someone that just got out of high school. So when they made the range of the fire ministry 19 to 35, I'm still coming back to that gut feeling I have that there should really be like young adults and adult ministry. And I know they don't want the 35-year-olds or people that are 65. I get that. That's why they made it the way they made it. But there's a college, grad school kind of age that's kind of different from just that high schooly, just coming out of high school feel. It's something about a person that's on a job and dealing with microaggressions that's different from someone that's worried about turning in their papers on time and an irate professor. It's two different spheres I'm talking about here, right?
Right.
There's people that are going through, hurt in their families that they're processing as a young person. And then there's hurts you've had in your family where you have to learn about boundaries and distance because you're now out on your own. Two different things, you know?
Right.
And I feel like I know what they're trying to do is it's pretty much like a lot of churches. Let's take a head count of how people want to be involved, right? And if the head count is, there's only 8 really good, strong young people that want to take part in their age 18 to 24. And then the ones that are 25 to 35, there's probably like 11 of them. In order for time management, let's just merge them together. It makes sense on paper,
Right.
but it doesn't make sense in the life of the young person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would never put you, 31 years old, in the same group as a 19-year-old because we talk about different stuff.
Right. Like,
and it will blow that little 19-year-old's mind.
Right. Because I have like cousins that are like around that age, that are actually around that age group. Love them to death, but like we can't relate on like a bulk of things because they're just coming into their adulthood whereas I've been here for a second and I'm trying to go to another chapter, which is like, you know, being a first-time homeowner, starting a family, like stuff like that. They're just like, they don't really care for those things right now at that very moment.
Yeah, young women that are 35 and worried about, do I need to freeze my eggs or not? That's not the same conversation you have with a 19-year-old in a room.
Right.
You know, young men that are like, I'm being pressured to marry. How do I know if I'm ready to marry someone? It's not in the same category as a person that's wondering who to take to, I don't know, homecoming at the college. It's totally two different lifestyles. I mean, you're talking about moving away for a career that could take you away from home. Supporting elderly family members when you're 35 is different than thinking about trying to support somebody when you're 19 and you're not even there yet and on your own yet. There's so many things that we talk about as adults and young adults that it's too blurred. And I know it makes sense to make them both be together between 19 and 35. So I'm not trying to come up against what the ministry, I'm sure the religious leaders have prayed about this and said that's the best fit for First Baptist. I'm just saying for me, if I had a choice, and being a person that's in the realm that teaches and is with college students all day, every day, and grad students, totally different hemispheres as far as what you want to talk about. Now, you can keep it surface level. And there's nothing about Pastor Quick to me that seems surface level. And let's have mixers and let's go to the movies and let's do stuff that group of people can do without ever getting to know them and what their issues are and helping them on their walk. Because the way I would help young ladies that were 27, 28, 29, 30, trying to find the one that's right for them and getting ready for that stage in their life is totally different than what I would tell someone that's 19, 18, 19, 20. 18, 19, 20 is like, find yourself, have fun, complete your education, do what your parents want you to do, keep your family ties strong. When you're like 24, 25, you're usually out on your own. Right. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, like when I was in college, I wasn't hanging out with anyone in their 30s. I was hanging out with, no, honestly, like during my college experience, I was hanging out with people that were either like my age, maybe like a year or two older. So maybe so if I was a sophomore, it might have been a junior or a senior, one to two. Mm-hmm. But I could still circle back with like a senior from high school and I wouldn't feel too far out of the loop. But right. if I were to try to go upward, like someone that was like 28, 29, 30, I'd be like, this is completely a different type of like social scene that I don't really know about.
Yeah, because when I was growing up, when those people used to be in the clubs and you were young, those 30, 20, 32, 33, 34 in the clubs of young people were at, we called them old heads because they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, this is
hanging out with the young people.
Yeah, and like if memory serves me right, like when I had a student worker job and we had one of the managers that were like in their 30s, we always thought it was weird when they were trying to have like parties and like invite us and we're just like, you're in your 30s, why are you having a party?
It's like why can't you go with your own friends?
Yeah,
that's what you're thinking, right?
Like why are you trying to come to our party and it's like for our age group and you're like in your 30s? Like what does that really do for us? Kind of weird.
Yeah. Okay. And I hate to break it down to people, but to tell the honest truth, what I tell someone about being chased when they're 18, 19, 20 and the importance of it, is one conversation, and it becomes a different conversation as you're going into your 30s, when you're now in a committed relationship, and all the things that we brainwashed you with the fear of God to not do, and now you have to let go of that and be one with somebody in a relationship. That's a different conversation.
Well,
You don't have that with a 19-year-old. Like, how do you prepare yourself to be with a person in that way on your when you're single? Like, how do you let go of some of the feeling repressed and the feeling like like sex is bad and stuff like that? You don't have that conversation with a 19-year-old. You still want a 19-year-old to think sex is bad, very bad.
Right.
But you don't want a 32-year-old that's about to get engaged to think, yeah, you got to keep thinking that it's bad, and have those shields up, and lock on everything. You got to be able to say, you are a sexual being. It's okay to be a sexual being. Sex is good in the right context. You can't have that same kind of in-depth conversation you want to have 30-year-olds with 19, 20-year-olds.
Right. To be honest, like when I first heard about fire. I really thought that, I thought the age range was like 18 to 25. That's what I honestly thought. I didn't know it went up to like 35. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like, just from my personal experience, I feel like 18 and 19-year-olds they can talk to, not talk. They will seek advice from someone that's like up to age 25, but anyone over that, they don't want to hear it. They're like, you're old. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're not even with the culture, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can see 35-year-olds being in leadership over them and being advisors to those groups of the 20-year-olds. But what I don't see is getting a good big turnout at a lot of things where you want to talk in depth about your walk in singleness and your 30s with 19-year-olds there listening and getting bored and wondering when that panel discussion or whatever is going to be over. Like, you're sitting up there doing a whole The View kind of talking, in depth about a subject, and we think it's entertaining because you're in your 30s. And a 20-year-old sitting there going, why do they keep talking so much? They want something that's a little more interactive. They want the bowling, they want the movies, they want the other stuff.
Well, maybe, and again, I don't know, but maybe like for those type of topics, they might even though, yes, the entire age range is like 18 to 35, maybe for like certain topics, or okay, like for, I don't know, marriage, or let's talk to the people that are like 27, 35. I don't know, because I've never been to one of those functions, but I don't know, even though the group is called Fire and they go from 18 to 35, for all we know, they could probably have certain things that are set up for certain age groups that deal with that. That the pressures of waiting, that might be more so for people that are 18 to 25, because there's more things that are that are geared towards them. Whereas when you're over 25, you have more self-control, because you're just you're not so weak to the flesh like you were when you were younger. If that makes
or the
sense.
Peer mentality, the whole gang. Yeah, you're not thinking what all your peers are doing.
Right.
And I hope you're right. I hope Fire is yes, the whole group is called Fire, but I hope there's some distinction between it. There are things that 35-year-old women would like to talk about that 35-year-old men do not want to talk about. even late 20s to 30s don't want to talk about. So I hope there is a division. For me, I would like it better if I saw the division already taking place. Like, there's Young Fire, and then there's Fire, or there's Matchstick and Fire. I don't know, something a little different.
I don't know why when you said that, I was thinking about Rick James' Fire and Desire. I was like, wait, that's
wrong. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's
rewind,
the wrong.
Rewind.
Yeah, rewind.
Yeah,
Bring
but something like, something that's more geared to I think it should be the whole group. I can get it. The whole young people can be called Fire. Mm-hmm. There should be some kind of segregation, some kind of distinction between that they come together for some things, and the ministry is great, but they have to have enough people volunteer to want to mentor and be for the individual groups a little bit better. Because what I would love to see happen is for young men and women in their 30 to 35 age range being able to network and hanging out and doing things with each other. Right. I would love to take a group of 30 or 35-year-olds up into New York and go to a Broadway play and a dinner and a movie and talk about it, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or whatever. And just have a nice adult time, because all of us could drink and have fun. And just, you go to a nice restaurant, you can order a glass of wine, you can talk, and you take a charter a bus up there and take a bus back, all the kind of stuff you used to do with your friends, but you do it in a church with people at the church that you know and like.
Yeah, because I
That
was
would be a
gonna,
lot of fun.
yeah, because I was gonna say like having alcohol with like the young adults.
That's not going to work ever.
No.
Ever. If you are 30 to 35 and you want to go to a museum and then go to a wine and cheese event at the end of it, no one thinks anything of it. Oh, it's a wonderful
No.
time. Plus, you chartered a bus. So, the bus was paid for. No one was driving. It was great. But you can't have that same thing with the young people. No.
Not really,
No.
because most of them, to be honest, if they're following, the age limit, don't really know their limit when it comes to alcohol at that point because they're still new to it.
Yeah.
Or if you are not those type of people and you've been dabbling in that, you could go a little too far.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
And I don't even know how many church groups let you have any alcohol. To tell
I don't
honest
even.
truth.
Yeah, they
I'm
probably
just
don't.
saying, but a lot of adults, you don't. I mean, how do I say this? You want to instill in the young people in the church it's okay to know each other and get together. You want them to have a connection. You don't want them to come to church every Sunday, see names on the screen or see people sitting in the pew and leave out the doors and still don't have any more connections than they had when they first went in there, earlier that morning. So that's why the ministries are so important. You get involved in the ministry. It helps you get to know people and make your circle of friends bigger, right?
Right.
So let's say you're in the fire ministry. They have a mixer or they all go to the movie or something. You're sitting there, you're in the event, you're kind of talking and getting to know people and you start fractioning off. The older ones kind of cluster and start talking and having a good time. And the younger ones do the same thing. What's next? Every event, people are going to be to their sides of the room talking and doing stuff. Their group tables are going to be all cliquish. That's what you want? Or do you want to go ahead and break it down the middle and say, this group is very much defined by their age group, and this group is defined by their age group, and let's nurture them as they are.
See, that kind of reminds me of having like assemblies in high school
Mm-hmm.
where it was the whole entire school. You have freshmen, seniors, sophomores, what have you, right? Even though, yes, they have certain sections that say freshman, sophomore, senior, certain people like to sit here and like, oh, so-and-so, my friend, they might be a freshman. They're a senior. Come over here, come to the senior side and sit with us. And it's just like, what's happening? Like, I thought we were all going to stay in our own area, but I get what you're saying. Like, it's easy to have a wide like age range and people want to like go with their group, but then sometimes they do like cross mingle.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But I guess it really depends on the activity at hand.
Yeah,
maybe
it does.
like certain things. Like I don't know, like if there was like a bowling mixer that
then
could
everybody could do that.
Everybody could like
the whole church
intermingle.
could do that.
Yeah.
A whole church can do a movie thing. But if you want it to be, the fire ministry is putting us on for our age group, for you guys to get to know each other. Not too many 34-year-olds want to sit there talking to 19-year-olds most of the night. And if you make the mistake and fall in love with a 19-year-old, then what? You're going to deal with parents? You're going to deal with, well, the church said it was okay for all of us to intermingle. And I fell in love. I caught feelings. I'll be like, listen here, R. Kelly, we ain't doing that today. We ain't doing that today. I don't care who said it was okay.
Oh, man.
But I'm just saying, it's like, I really feel like it should be broken up. I'm going to take that out, But I really feel like it should be, I really feel like... I really feel like it should be broken up.
Oh,
a little
man.
more. I know, I'm sorry, Resa. I went too far, but...
I was like, freaking
Really
Apollo, like pull it back.
Pull it back. Okay. So also at the beginning of First Baptist, the theme this month was I Press My Forgiveness. And we were introduced to Brother Derek Liam of the Men Building Men Ministry. And he bore his testimony about being 35 years clean from any kind of drugs. And he talked about learning to forgive himself. This morning, Pastor Quick is actually preaching at Howard University. So we had the lovely fortune to listen to a sermon given to us by Reverend Dr. Carol Lynn Patterson, who's the Associate Minister at First Baptist Church of Lincoln Gardens. Her sermon was entitled The Heart of the Matter, and she took her scriptures from Luke chapter 11, verses 1 through 4 of the Amplified Bible, Classic Edition, and she also touched a little bit on Luke chapter 23, verse 34. The Luke chapter 11, 1 through 4 is kind of dealing with how Jesus modeled his prayer, his classic prayer, our Father who art in heaven. It's actually how God kind of tells us how we should be praying. So she started off her sermon reminding us that we need to let go of holding any kind of grudges. even when it seems impossible for us to do so. She said, all things are possible with God, and we know that. Then she brought up billionaire philanthropist Robert F. Smith, who delivered his commencement speech at Morehouse College on Sunday, May the 19th, 2019. Now, you may remember him because he was the gentleman that agreed to pay off the student loans for approximately 400 graduates that day at Morehouse. And that debt that he paid off came to $34 million.
On behalf of the 8 generations of my family who have been in this country, we're going to put a little fuel in your bus. Now, I've got the alumni over there, and this is a challenge to you alumni. This is my class, 2019. And my family is making a grant to eliminate their student loans.
Now, this one act that he did will impact not only these young men, but their generations of their families to come. Conversely, there are 6 states right now that have come together to block the Biden-Harris student loan forgiveness plan that is currently going away to help many other people with their student loan debts. The deadline for applying for that student loan program is November 15th. So please go to studentaid.gov. If you have a student loan debt and you're living in the United States and you're hoping that you can at least get $10,000 of your loan forgiven. So she brought up, Reverend Patterson brought up these 2 instances here to say there are blessings, and with blessings and blocking of people, you have ramifications. So if you're generous with and forgive people like Smith did, God will be very pleased with you. But if you have hatred in your heart, seek to block the blessings of others or hold on to grudges, like those 6 states are doing with the Biden-Harris student loan forgiveness plan, then you're going to be on the wrong side of the concept of forgiveness. If you love God, you need to keep his commandments. Then she gave us the background on how she came up to the title of her sermon. Did you like this, Resa? She said she took it from India Arie. What did you think about it when she said she took it from India Arie's music?
Honestly, I was happy about that because I love India Arie. And she also mentioned Erykah Badu as well. So.
Yeah, I'm going to mention that. What she said about India, she gave some of the lyrics. She said for India's song, Heart of the Matter, this is the lyric that she read from the pulpit. She said, the more I know, the less I understand. All the things I thought I knew, I'm learning them again. I've been trying to get down to the heart of the matter, but my will gets weak and my thoughts seem to scatter. But I think it's about forgiveness. She goes on to say, these times are so uncertain. There's a yearning undefined and people filled with rage. We all need a little tenderness. And then, like you said, she did mention Erykah Badu, her song Bag Lady, which she actually had the congregation singing. She said, Bag Lady, you're going to hurt your back, dragging all them bags like that. One day, all them bags going to get in your way. One day, all them bags going to get in your way. And then she had the congregation sing, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Wasn't it kind of cool when the praise and worship ministry, the musicians actually started playing Erykah's song?
Yeah, I really liked it. I was just like, oh, let's go.
It sounded like a concert in there.
It did.
They playing the song. It sounded just, I thought any moment Erykah was going to come out of the wing.
That's what
I thought any moment. I said they found a
through.
way for her to come out right now.
She going to come out wearing all white, talk about Bag Lady.
I know. And I would have been like, see, that's what happened when Pastor Quick leaves. They fly Erykah Badu in. That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking that maybe she's performing somewhere in the city. And they said, come on down. We're giving a speech. We're giving a sermon. You can just make an appearance. But no, that didn't happen. I was waiting for it though. I was waiting for something miraculous to happen because when the musicians had the actual right chords and everything of her music, I said, wait a minute, that sounds too much like the record. She might be coming out. But we have great musicians that play for us. So they had me fooled. I thought she was coming out because it was so good, like the record. They had me fooled. But I should have known better because if she was really coming out, her singers would have been singing. Yeah, with the choir, her singers would have been singing.
Yeah, because I follow one of her background singers, Duran, and if I would have saw him, I would have known that she was coming. But I didn't see him. So
okay, all right. Well, Pastor Patterson went on to say, Jesus provides the blueprint for prayer. When Jesus was praying, his disciples asked him how to pray. So the Lord's Prayer was the model prayer. On the Sermon on the Mount, he taught us how to pray. Jesus in the scriptures was praying all the time. He had so many prayers. So if we don't forgive, we have to understand we won't be forgiven. She went on to say, forgive to be forgiven. All things are possible with God. None of us can afford to not forgive other people. The 12 disciples in the Bible, you remember, there's many times they were very quick to dismiss people, but Jesus always corrected them and did his Father's work. And in doing this, it should have showed us that there's an unlimited number of times to forgive that we need to do. It's not I forgave somebody 5 times, I'm not going to give him or her the time of day again. You forgive as many times are needed. If you forgive people, God will forgive you. So get unstuck and press forward with your forgiveness. When she said that, I was like, it's kind of hard to always forgive because we're human. And there's something about Christ's walk. I think even if he lived in this day and age, it'd be a little hard. Like, he did turn over some tables in the temple once when he got mad. I think he'd be turning over flipping a lot of tables Jersey style if he saw what's going on here today.
This is true. This is very true.
Yeah. What do you think about that whole forgiving thing? It's like to forgive unlimited amounts of times, forgive, because that's what you want God to do for you. He gives us many, many times at his grace.
I feel like when you love someone, I feel like it's easy to forgive like numerous times, but when you don't. That's
what he's talking about. When you don't, he knows we can all love and forgive ones we like.
Right. So like when you're dealing with someone that you really cannot stand, like I'm not going to lie, it is difficult to like constantly forgive them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you also think about it too, like you are also exerting a lot of energy staying mad at someone.
True.
Or holding a grudge against them. Because Reverend Patterson did also state that, we shouldn't hold grudges. So it's easier said than done, because some things are just like, I can't do it. But like, again, like when you really take the time to think about it, forgiveness is actually for you, not for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Reverend Patterson also stated, like, these people or people in general will sit there and, they could do something to hurt you, and then they're going about their business. And then you're sitting there stuck. Mm-hmm. You're like, I can't believe that person, I don't know, like they stole like $1 from me or whatever the case, something, whatever the action was, like you're still steaming about it. And then you could see them walking down the street and they're just like, skipping, having a great old time. They're like, why are you upset? I'm still upset about, that argument we had 5 years ago. And they're just like, I've moved on since then. I've had kids since then. I really can care less.
Yeah.
So like you look kind of crazy.
Yeah. The hardest thing for a lot of people, I find, though, if you took a poll, is when you lend somebody money. Yeah. When you lend somebody money and then they just avoid you. They know they're supposed to pay you back, or you call them, or they stop calling as much. And then you see them take a trip, or you see them buy something new for themselves. You're like, and they know they still owe me $50. It makes everybody feel some kind of way. I don't know what that is when it comes to monetary stuff. It's like everybody feels like life should stop until they get refunded. I gave you this. Right. I'm not a millionaire. Give me my money back. Right. And the other person's thinking, oh, they said take your time giving it back to me. So why can't I live my life? That trip I planned, that was planned and paid for a long time ago. It wasn't paid with your money. That gift you saw me pick up for myself, or that, or you saw me I eat lunch. I went out and got my lunch. It cost me all $10. You saw me pick up. I know I should have gave you that $10, but I needed to eat today. I was hungry.
Yeah.
Everybody feels some kind of way about money.
Right. Because I think the thing is, right, when someone comes to you and says, hey, I'm like $2 short, can I like borrow $2 and I'll pay you back, I promise. And you're like, because you know the person. So you're like, you know what? I know you. I see you. Not a problem. I'll give you $2. The next day comes, they don't have it. Okay, maybe they'll do it on Friday because we get paid on Friday. Friday comes, you still don't get $2. Okay. The following week comes,
You don't see him at all.
You don't see him at all. And you're like, what happened?
They avoiding you.
Yeah, like they don't want to sit by you at lunch anymore. Like they don't want to, walk with you into the office, and you're just like, I've lended you $2.
It was just $2.
It was just $2. It wasn't like
it was 8 quarters.
Yeah, it wasn't like $100 that like now you gotta like dip and dodge as if you're like trying to like run away from like the credit man. It's like only $2. So, like if you can't pay me back, like say that. But then at the same token, if you know you're not going to pay somebody back, you really
then don't say
not.
Borrow. Say, can I have $2? Right. I need $2.
But then think about it this way too. There are people that go to the bank and they get loans from banks and they don't pay the bank back, and the bank will find you. And then you'll have
collections will be your name.
Collections. Yeah,
true. Well, at the end of the sermon, Reverend Dr. Patterson said that if Jesus could forgive people that took part in his crucifixion, then we can forgive what was done to us. Whoa, powerful mic drop. That's so true. I mean, he went through a lot during the time when he was being crucified. I mean, wow. I mean, I can't even watch The Passion of the Christ, the movie. It's just too...
No.
Yeah, it's too really authentic for me.
Yeah.
And it's too, yeah. So when you think about that walk that he went through, all that, getting all the way up to where he was crucified and nailed to the cross, if he went through all that and was still in a forgiving heart for them and knowing he had to go through that. And then she said, we need to forget what was done to us. Here's the thing. Someone that borrowed money is one kind of forgiveness. Right. Someone that, abused you, someone that killed a family member of yours, I know that's a different animal as far as forgiveness. That's a different walk. It's not in the same league. Yes, it's under the umbrella of forgiveness, but it's a more difficult walk than someone that just borrowed $2 from you, right? So there's more of a process to it. That's why I go back to saying what I said before. I really hope and pray that Pastor Quick looks at the cycle of forgiveness. Like if there's steps to it, because I feel like some of us get stuck on some of the steps of true forgiveness. But just like we have the cycle of grief and you can tell the different stages you're in, I know it has to be something like that with forgiveness. Yeah. Because there's a type of forgiveness where you don't even get upset when you bring up the person's name or see the person walking across the street or whatever. You don't even feel any kind of way. You're that forgiving.
This is very true. Even the woman last week that was featured in the church when she was talking about her son who was murdered, and she had said in the package that I have forgiven the man that killed my son. I was shocked because I was just like, I don't know if I could do that. But
it took her probably some time to get there. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I really hope they will before we leave the month of I Press My Forgiveness. Talk about the stages of forgiveness. Because I feel like some things we get stuck on. Like, how come, we go, somebody goes, you should go and contact so-and-so. You haven't talked to her in a while. And we go, I don't feel like it. What is that? Is that like a stage we're at where we feel like we're not accepting yet what has happened? Are we holding a grudge? Does grudges have different levels? I have no idea. But I'm sure there's someone either on the mental health side or someone on the spiritual side that knows that there's different steps to forgiveness, and we might go up and down a couple of the steps for a while before we're really ready to march all the way through it and take the whole journey and be on the other side going, yeah, I harbor nothing in my heart towards you. I can look at you, talk to you, spend time with you, and there's nothing in my body that wants to do or say anything negative to you. That's real forgiveness.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I remember a long, long time ago, I don't know if it was on Oprah's actual talk show or if she was doing an interview, one of the two, but she was talking to someone and she was talking about her abuser, and she had said that she forgiven him, but then she realized, she was like, I guess she was making him breakfast or something. She was like, I forgive him, but I don't need to be making you breakfast. Like, we don't need to be in contact like that. And I can't remember the exact conversation of how she said it, but I do remember her saying that. So I do agree that there are levels to forgiveness. So there's like, I guess, depending on the situation, like some people can be around, I guess, the person that wronged them. Some people are like, listen, I forgive you, but I don't want to be around you. It's nothing personal.
Yeah, and
wish
it's
you well.
it could be a
Yeah.
boundary thing we're talking about,
Right.
but maybe it's something to go from the raw hurt and the pain and the rejection and that all the way to a total spirit of forgiveness. And I'm hoping that Pastor Quick will look at that. Everybody seems to be touching on it, but I have a feeling, just like we have the cycles of grief, the cycle of grief, I think the same thing, or the stages of grief. I think we have the stages or the cycle of forgiveness too. And if not, I'm sure we could come up with it. We got some intelligent people in my church. We can come up with this. Now, Reverend Dr. Carol Lynn Patterson's sermon, The Matters of the Heart, was live streamed on November 13th, 2022 on the FBC Somerset YouTube channel. When you get a moment, check it out. Now, let's go over to the church at East Point First Malibu United Methodist Church in East Point, Georgia. They posted a May 15th, 2022 sermon that we kind of think you're going to enjoy. It's called Obscurity is No Longer an Option. The speaker was Reverend Dr. Khalia J. Williams of the historical Providence Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. She was the guest speaker that day. And the scripture she takes is from Luke chapter 8, verses 43 through 48 of the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. This is an area of Luke where the woman with the issues of blood had so much faith that she reached out and touched the hem of Jesus's garment. So as an introduction, this is a former Women's Day sermon, but we think it's just as poignant as it was earlier this spring. The message is anything is possible with God's help, and we shouldn't place limits on what God can do. We should not limit ourselves on a very limited understanding of him. So she started off her sermon really trying to nail home this issue. You shouldn't be hiding when you're in the construction phase of your life, under the construction process that God has you in. Now, the woman with the issue of blood, she had something going on. We all have things going on in our lives, right? That can make many of us feel like outsiders and feel invisible, even when we're in a crowd of people, like a crowd of saints. But we have to keep pressing forward and align ourselves with Jesus. We said, has there ever been a time where you felt like, even though you're in a place like a conference or something, you still kind of feel like alone, even though you're around a lot of people?
Yeah, there's been a couple times where like I felt like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know how to like explain it, but I have felt that way like a couple times throughout my life where I could be in a room full of people, but I still feel alone.
I felt that way when I went to something at Rutgers where all the big wigs, like the chancellors and the VPs were all there because the president was unveiling something. And I sat down, I felt like, yeah, I know these people because I've seen their names in emails and I've seen their names on important documents and stuff, right? But never really been in a room with them like that. So you kind of feel like you're there, you're being seen, but you're not really connecting with anyone. You feel like an observer of everything going on because you see everybody else networking, like, hey, girl, hey, and all that kind of thing. They know each other from working with each other behind the velvet rope of Old Queens, the top part of Rutgers. And you're like, yeah, I'm here. I'm watching it happen. You're waiting for the program to start and you're saying to yourself, I'm here, but I'm not really here. And other people would say, well, wow, you must be somebody to be in that room. Not really. I didn't feel that way. I felt like I got here. I feel like Cinderella at the ball, but everybody was been at the ball for years. And I was like, I don't know. Should I be here?
Yeah.
Didn't feel comfortable. Didn't feel as comfortable to me.
Yeah, no, I had that happen before where I was in a room. I was actually in a conference room with a bunch of not a bunch. There were a couple of CEOs, and I was with my coworkers, and we had to introduce ourselves. And I was so nervous. I couldn't say my name. I was just stuttering the whole time. And I was just like, I wanted to fall under I wanted to hide under my chair and just disappear. Cause I was just like, I can't even speak in a room. Even though I know they're people, it's different when you hear, oh, CEO, CFO, the president. And I'm just like,
oh yeah, the first time I met President Holloway at Rutgers, and even though I met him other times after that, and I've been fine now, but the very, very first time standing in line to shake his hand, I stuttered. I forgot my name. I did. All I can say is you did a wonderful job. That's all I can say. You did a wonderful job. You're doing a wonderful job. And he's like, thank you.
But you know what?
I'm thinking, you didn't even introduce yourself. Duh.
But you know what? It's funny because I could be in a room with CFOs, CEOs, presidents, and like stutter, but then I can go to a comedy club and have Nick Cannon walk in front of me after doing his set, but then I'm able to say my name and shake his hand. So I don't know. It's like it's so weird.
I know. What is that
It's so
about? I can do the same
right.
thing. I met some lady that was on Oprah Winfrey's show, Dr. Robin, whatever, and got her autograph and didn't think nothing of it. Introduced myself, but it all depends. It all depends on where you're at. I don't know. I can feel the same way. I get you. I totally get you. Well, Reverend Williams went on to say, many of us wrestle with issues, but our healing is Jesus. We need to get connected to him. Make your connection with Jesus personal, and don't worry about impressing anyone else that might be looking at you. You need to make an intentional personal connection based on your faith. She said, let Jesus know you have complete faith in his power, and don't take your doubts into your prayers. Just ask God for what you need. If you want him to do something in your life, you must have enough faith to go where he wants you to go and do what he wants you to do. Then and only then will Jesus elevate your example of faith before the believers. Your life will be a testimony of his transformative power. Your life will be a witness to the believers and the unbelievers. Oh, Resa, to have no doubt in your mind when you pray that he's going to give you what you're asking for. That's a hard thing to do. We all say we can do it, but it's really hard. I mean, when you're going through college, you're like, God, just help me get through. I know you're going to help me graduate. We all can kind of see that's a possibility. With enough hard work, enough dedication, God will open up our mind, our understanding to what we're learning, and we will graduate. But something like, please make sure I get married, or make sure I'm a parent, or make sure that, my parents don't get sick where I have to take care of them, or whatever you're praying to, and trust that he's going to cover like that.
Mm-hmm.
In the back of our mind, we're thinking, hope this prayer works. Don't know if it will, but we're hoping.
Yeah, I do feel like there are certain things that I have prayed for throughout my life. And I'm kind of like, I don't know. But then I know, especially, I noticed this more so in college, where I would pray about things, be a little like, I don't know if you heard me, whatever. But then I would be still enough that I would see like a sign or something, like maybe I might see like a red robin like cross my path, or or maybe I might hear something on TV that is actually answering a question that I had asked. So I'm just like, okay, he heard me, but he'll like in that way. To me, I feel like sometimes when I'm not sure if he's heard me or if what I asked is going to happen, he'll give me an answer in a way that I can understand, if that makes any sense.
Oh, that made perfect sense. Well, before she ended her sermon, Reverend Williams said, you need to be a beacon of God's light and goodness. That's what you said in your beginning. Come out of hiding and take your place, because obscurity is no longer an option. When God calls you, you must come forward and be a witness. Others will not know you by your issues. They'll only know you by your connection to Christ. And I like that, because the woman with issue of blood, she was going through this thing, but once she was healed, she's just a walking testimony at that point.
Right.
So no matter what our walk is, put it in God's hand, let him use it. And it's hard to do that. Remember, we were watching LaTerrence Whitfield, and he has that Dear Future Wifey podcast. He's had it for years. He finally decided, I'm going to dedicate my life to Christ. I'm going to go before the altar. And he picked the church he wanted to join and said, I surrender myself to you and your will, God, whatever you want to use me for. And he said the reason why he never did it before, because he knew God was going to call him to ministry, to some kind of ministry. He knew God was going to be like, I need you to work over here. And he didn't want to be boxed in. He wanted to be his own man. But he humbled himself enough to be covered under a pastor and do what God is putting on his heart to do, whatever that is. And he says that he knelt before the altar and said, I surrender, whatever you want me to do, Lord. Most powerful thing I ever seen, because he went viral. His very next video after doing that was when the young lady that lost her hair. Remember, she had a fake piece of hair on or whatever, a wig or something.
Yeah, she had a wig on.
And it just fell behind the couch. And he died laughing. And the whole internet died laughing too. She's a comic, so she laughed too, and it went viral to the point where he can help fund his Kingdom Royale, which is like I think it's a home for young boys. for foster boys. And he would have never had that. God, I think God was always holding that blessing for him, just waiting for him to submit.
Right.
And how hard is it for us? Like I say to myself all the time, I'm so busy. I don't know if I can do another thing. But who knows, if he's calling me to do something, and when he puts it on my heart to do it, he ain't gonna care how busy you are. He's like, let that go and do what I want you to do, woman, because there might be a blessing out there that he's trying to give me, and I can't get it if I keep doing it my way and not his way.
Right, because I was gonna say, because I don't know, maybe you can answer this for me, because I have a question now. So I feel like if God calls you to do something, but then you're like, I don't want to do it, whatever. Like, doesn't he kind of like make you kind of uncomfortable in a sense? So like you kind of have to submit because it's like you're trying to do it your way, but then things aren't really going your way. So you're just like, well, I try.
Well, he doesn't take away our free will. And that's a great question for new and rededicated Christians. He never takes away our free will, but things do become a bit testy where it's like, wow, I guess I should have done what he said to do, what I was prompted to do, because now I'm having this difficulty. But he will never, take away your free will, and you have a will to live your life any way you want to live it. Right. But he does like to give you glimpses of how when you do it his way, you might be happier. You might, it might be better for your talents, more aligned with your talents. It might be uncomfortable at first to go through meeting new people, but it might fit that need of you making the connections and the friendships you want to make. So yeah, you're right. He gives you little clues that that's where he wants you to go, but he doesn't force anybody to do anything. Okay. Like he doesn't give you a bad boyfriend because you didn't date the guy he wanted you to date. That's not how he does things.
Right.
What he says is keep a certain standard, because the guy that I have for you, he will see that and seek that in you. Like be a wife in order for a man to find you as a wife. Can that same guy find a wife that's not really doing wifely things yet? Of course. You can take any young woman and say, girl, I want to marry you. And she might rise to the case like, oh, I'm going to be a wife now. I'm going to do my wife stuff now. That can happen. Right. Or you can have men that you meet and you can look at them and go, wow, he's going to be somebody's husband one day. He's going to be a great husband. He's not, me and him don't have a connection like that, but I can see him being a good husband because he has that husband vibe to him. Mm-hmm. And the same thing for guys. They can tell the women that have that wife vibe to them.
Right.
And that's why they should be separate. 30 to 35. 19 to 25. That's how I feel. But anyway, so if you want to view Reverend Dr. Jamila J. Williams' May 15th sermon, Obscurity is No Longer an Option, well, you can view it on the Church at EPFM's YouTube channel. Okay, check it out when you get a chance. Let's move on to the screening room.
It's time for that weekly movie review in the screening room.
Now, I have a love for the platform PureFlick. It's like Netflix, but it's just for Christian-based or faith-based movies and series and stuff like that. They're not a sponsor of the podcast. One day they may be, but right now they're not. But I watched a movie on their platform called A Heart That Forgives. It came out in 2016, and you can probably get it on Amazon. You probably get it on YouTube. You can get it a lot of other places. It was written by T.K. Henderson and Ken Jenkins. It was directed by M. Legend Brown. It stars Mario Sims, Charles Malik Whitfield, Carl Anthony Payne II, Kelly O'Neill Jackson, Irma P. Hall, Zach Rose, Lynn Andrews, Nikki Dixon, Pilar Sanders, Carrie McCormick, and others. Here's a brief synopsis. Oh, before I get there, I want to say that With This Quickness only recommends 18 plus for the content of this movie. Anybody younger than that is too many things to explain about the lifestyles of the two brothers. Okay, this film follows two foster brothers that chose very different paths. Malcolm followed his father's footsteps and began pastoring a small church, while Silk, that's his street name, followed a dark road while seeking redemption when it is convenient. I believe Silk's real name is Samuel. The brothers and their circle of friends are caught up in a web of life situations and circumstances. And these circumstances force them towards decisions of forgiveness or bitterness that will impact the rest of their lives. Now, what I liked about this film is it also had two subplots in addition to the brother's main story. One of the subplots was a father that was abusive and he was near death in his life. And his adult daughter was harboring some really strong resentments against him, a real strong grudge. And so her storyline was about, will she be able to find it in her heart to forgive him? And the other storyline dealt with the struggles of a young married couple trying to reconnect when both of them were feeling really neglected by each other. The themes of this movie are faith, sin, forgiveness, guilt, redemption, relationships, and hope. This film has won numerous awards, including the Best Featured Film at the 2018 Great Lakes Christian Film Festival. You can see a trailer for this movie on With the Quickness, so just go to www.withquickness.com. You can see the trailer there and this synopsis. So Resa, I hope you'll check this movie out. It wasn't like one of those that you would see in the theaters. It's more one that would go right to DVD or right to, I don't think it was in the theaters at all. I think it just went to a lot of Christian, like you might have seen it at a church movie night or something like that. Went to a lot of Christian festivals. But I liked it. It was really, really good. I really liked it.
Yeah, I will definitely be checking that out.
I hope you do. I mean, come Christmas time, there's a lot of movies you got to watch with me now to get caught up on.
Of course.
But that's one I think you should watch. It really deals with the whole forgiveness theme, to have two foster brothers that were really going in two different directions and to see their lives parallel like that, and how one of the brothers kept asking and coming back to his brother and asking for forgiveness, asking him to pray. Can you pray over me, man? Just pray for me. And his brother's giving him oil and praying on him. And because he knew his lifestyle in the street was one that could only end in death and destruction. So he knew he needed to stay strong in the faith. He needed to get close to the faith because he could feel like he was playing around with something that was going to be very dangerous for his life. And I like that fact that they actually took a strong look at it and what the ramifications of being in that lifestyle looks like. And it didn't go too hard left. It didn't go like CSI level, but it definitely gave you a good feel. I didn't like the fact that some of the storyline kind of wasn't fleshed out enough. Some of the characters, like I would really love the married couple to be fleshed out a little more. Even though it was a subplot, I feel like they could have gave us a little more background on how those two got together. Same thing with the daughter that was dealing with the abusive father. Give us a little more background about that too, about what kind of abuse are you talking about? Yes, we could see that he was physically violent with her mother, but are you talking about he was also physically violent in the household, like yelling and screaming, or was there any kind of, sexual assault and that made her feel that way? So they didn't really make that clear how abrasive and how abusive the father was before he ended up in the hospital. But things like that, those little holes could have been fixed. But other than that, it was really well done. And Pilar Sanders, Deion Sanders' ex-wife, was in it. I recognized her. I was like, that's Deion Sanders' ex-wife right there. And she acted her little tail off. She was really good. I was surprised. Happily surprised, because I know people know her as a model, don't really know her as an actress. So I was really happily surprised. So I hope you will check it out. Like I said, we will have the trailer on withthequickness.com. So let's go on to the Bema Seat.
Come before the Bema Seat. Come before the Bema Seat. Where life's journeys meet. Every week, testimony of the one who brings hope and victory. With joy and reverence, we will sing our praises to the King of Kings, the Bema Seat. Come before the Bema Seat, the Bema Seat. Come before the Bema Seat.
The Bema Seat, we usually like to do an interview in this segment, but when we don't have anybody, we decided last season to actually give a real life story in the place if we don't have a person for that day. And today we do not have an interview. So I'm going to be giving you the background of Andrea Martinez. She spoke out about the sexual abuse she was experiencing as a 7-year-old and how she ended up forgiving. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Okay, she was sexually abused by a relative. And after years of not being able to speak about it, she began to confide in a family friend that she suffered a similar abuse as that friend. And from there, she decided to forgive and start on her road for healing. She said, my own dad was never really there for me, but as a child, I had this male relative who was like an amazing dad to his children. And therefore, I always looked up to him as a father figure. This is like her aunt's husband, okay? So this means she was around her cousins and this gentleman a lot. He would do everything for us. He would buy us whatever we wanted. I remember praying at night when I woke up that he would be my dad. I was 7 when I started staying over at their house, and it was around that age, I was about the same age as one of his kids, so that we could share a room. Like, she shared a room with that cousin. After her cousin's dad put them both to sleep, he would lay in bed with her for about an hour, telling me, she's saying, this is Andrea saying this, telling Andrea how much he liked her and that she was really special. And that's when he started to abuse her. But he never raped her, she said. It happened so many times, but I can't remember when it began. So he was probably touching her inappropriately. She goes, I didn't know how to deal with it and if I should tell my mom or dad. So she just blocked it out for all those years. She became very depressed as a young person because of that kind of betrayal. Someone that you trusted and someone that you thought you could be safe with to do something like that to you. Because she had looked up to him like a father figure. So she really couldn't process it with her young mind. She really couldn't process what was going on. And it made her self-esteem just plummet really low. And she felt worthless and used. They even gave her counselors at her school, but she didn't want to speak to anybody about it. You know, it's something that she did not want to talk about. When she went on to her middle school or secondary school, she became rebellious. She started, drinking and, not going to class. And she was always smashing things and getting into fights. And then her mother got really concerned about what was going on. So she got her to see a therapist, which is a good thing. The mom finally was like, enough of this. There's something really going wrong with my daughter. This is not the same daughter I had at age 7. I got to stop this spiral. And she's drinking, she's cutting class, she's getting into fights. So she signed her up with a therapist. Her depression continued to get worse and worse. So then her mother talked to her stepdad, and they found a really good family friend, Geoff Thompson, and told him what was going on. And Geoff said he had a very similar experience to Andrea. He told her that. And she said speaking to Mr. Thompson was amazing. He was the only person she felt comfortable with talking to at the time because he went through a period where he was touched as a young person. He said Andrea said he asked her, do I have any artistic hobbies or interests, like singing or dancing? And then she said, I remember I always wanted to act. And so I told him that. And he said, people like us, they're blessed in some way because we can put all our pain into our art and make something beautiful out of it. So acting for Andrea became her way of releasing how she was feeling. He told her to forgive. He forgave his abuser and it took a big weight off his shoulders. And Andrea said, I don't know if I can do that right now. But eventually she decided, forgiveness was a process and that she was willing to do what it took, but it wasn't going to happen overnight. She said, yeah, I'm going to forgive him one day, but she had to walk her own path like we talked about. I don't know the stages that we're all in for different types of forgiveness, how long it takes for different things or for each person. But she started on her path and she said when she got older, she realized she couldn't keep holding on to all the anger and hate inside of her. And she just wanted to get rid of it because it was really starting to burden her. And so she decided to humble herself and ask God to help her forgive this person. And that's what she did every day after that. She just took it on herself to say, I'm going to forgive. And then she ended up eventually forgiving the person that caused her so much pain and being relieved of it. Now, for me, when I listened to her story, I was like, I see so many young people spiraling and we don't know the reasons why. There's so many things that happen in their childhood, and unless they have a safe place to talk to someone about it, you can't get that information out. You really can't, right, Resa? I mean, you got to wait till someone feels safe enough to talk. And that's why it's so important in your friendships and in your relationships that you can find people that you feel close enough to, that you can reveal stuff. And that goes back to what I was saying about the fire group. I feel like there's some things when you get into a group of friends and it gets close that you want to talk about, And you don't want to be hindered by, someone in the circle that is too young to understand when you want to go there on a topic. I've had young ladies sit down and talk about, date rape before, and talking with each other about being cornered and how you keep yourself safe and having that conversation. That conversation would probably freak out a 21-year-old. But when you're 35 and you're coming home from work, or you're doing different, or you guys all know the lingo to say to each other, to make each other realize that it's a group. Oh, girl, the first thing you would say is, girl, you could call me if you ever go on a date. I'll talk to you in the restaurant, talk to you all the way home, whatever you want to do. I'll be your call to check on you to make sure you got home safe. You can send me the address of where you're going, what restaurant you're going to, so I can make sure that you got there and you got home safe. You can do that for each other, because that's a different conversation that 30-year-olds have.
True. Or the flip side of that is, what if they were having a conversation and the 35-year-old is, whether it's the 30 or 35-year-old person is telling their experience about that, and what if one of the younger people experienced that, but they just didn't know like how to express it. Yeah. Or if there's even a way to even get through it, but then because this person decided to not only share their testimony, but also show like what they have done since then, like that could also be like a blessing in disguise too. So it's like it's one of those, like, I don't know how you say it. It can go both ways.
It's a weird dichotomy. Yeah, it's a weird dichotomy, because you're right. Both of them can help each other. Right. But I do know sometimes being as raw and transparent as you want to be, it's easier among your peers than when you think people are just watching as a voyeur. They're there, they can't add to the conversation, they're just watching it. It's harder to be that transparent. Like, you have a girlfriend, all of you are in your 30s talking about, feeling cornered, like Gabrielle Union talked about when she was pulled back into a room and assaulted when she was working late, right? Mm-hmm. It was easier for her to talk to girlfriends about that. Right. Than to talk to someone a lot older or a lot younger about it. Right. Because all of them have been in situations where they felt cornered or felt isolated or I felt that eerie feeling. And when I felt it, I knew I should have left, but I didn't leave, Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like, there's some things that the Spirit of God can move a woman to testify to another woman that might be helpful for her. Like you said, in her walk, she could be younger and hearing something and like, wow, that's going to help me. Right. I get that. And then there's the healing part of forgiveness, where God puts you in a circle of women or friends. It could be, like I said, it could be male friends. It can all be together and something gets said and you actually are a conduit for what God wants you to say to that person. He works through people. Right. Sometimes groups can help heal each other of things. They can encourage you. You haven't talked to your uncle in a long time, girl. You should talk to him. I heard if you said he's not doing well, you'll feel terrible if he passed away and you didn't say something to him. Mm. You didn't try to heal that. Sometimes you can actually help and motivate each other to do what's right. Get moved by the Spirit that way. True. So if you would like to share a story of your Christian experience that will help new and rededicated Christians, please go to our website, withthequickness.com, and select the Bema Seat tab. There you can fill out our interview form so we can schedule a virtual interview with you. You can also email us at bemaseat@withquickness.com to begin our guest process, or to give us a real life story you would like us to feature on the show. All right, Resa, another episode down. It was a pleasure once again to have another broadcast day with you.
Yes, it was. I definitely enjoyed myself, as always.
I'm really hoping Pastor Quick is back next week. I hope he talks about how wonderful it was at Howard. I hope they were really nice to him when he got down there. DC is his hometown, so I'm sure he ate some good food and everything.
Got some pot pies.
I bet you ate some good food. So he probably got more than pot pie. I think his mom probably cooked for him and everything. But I really hope he had a wonderful time seeing, his old stomping grounds and seeing some people, and hope he comes back to Jersey. I hope it's nicer weather. He's been kind of complaining about it being cold a lot. And I don't know how we're ever going to get him used to the cold New Jersey that's about to come and hit him. But sweaters are his friend. He needs to get some really cool sweaters and undershirts, and he'd be all right. He can rock it. He can rock this cold weather.
I am at the point where I'm just like, I just want it to be a little cool, because I'm tired of it being like super hot when I step outside. I'm thinking it's summer, and it's November. So I'm concerned about the environment. Global warming is real. I just want that breeze. That's all I want. I don't want winter. I just want that breeze. Winter could wait until December.
So you like the sweatshirt weather, like when it's like a crisp breeze and the leaves are flowing around, or do you like it more like 55 degrees, 60?
No, I feel like I thrive in sweater weather where I could wear my boots and I have a sweater and like I could have like a light jacket on. That's where I thrive. Where I do not thrive is when it is snow outside and there's ice. I don't do well with that. And I don't do well when it's super hot and sweltering and I can't breathe. So fall is my favorite weather.
I think fall's the best because everybody just turns off the ACs, the heat, and just crack your windows open. Enjoy the sound of the rustling leaves. The changing leaves outside look beautiful out of everybody's window. I mean, they're beautiful till they fall on the ground. And nobody likes it when there's a bunch of leaves on the ground. Yeah, no. And I walk my dog. I really don't like it because in the morning when he does his thing and I'm trying to find where he did it and all them leaves are everywhere, I'm looking like, what? Where the heck did it go? But fall is beautiful in New Jersey. The Garden State looks its best for November for me. October, November, it looks so beautiful. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I think we have a beautiful, wonderful time. I love seeing guys in sweatshirts playing football in the quad at Rutgers. And, I like seeing people sit underneath trees in the fall time, and sitting on benches and stuff. I like that. I like nice fall weather. You're right. When it's rainy, when it's snowy, when it's stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not feeling that. Not at all. So they are having a toy drive and a food drive at First Baptist. You think you're going to take part in either of those?
I think I will.
Okay, I think I will too. I think I'm going to go see what I can scrounge up. And I know my friend Jacob is doing a clothing drive that you're going to be helping us out with. We're doing that this week. Yes. So going to go through those closets tonight for Mr. Jacob. Take some stuff. I told my husband, we're going to take some stuff out of your closet too. He's like, take the skinny jeans. What is it with guys not liking skinny jeans? I guess the phase didn't hit everybody right.
Well, apparently it's still hitting like the younger gentlemen because they're wearing skinny jeans, but they're wearing skinnier jeans than I would wear. So I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, your stepdad's over it. He's like, nah, because I don't even know why I got talked into. Some sales lady talked him into it. He's like, take the skinny jeans, take them. Go, take them gone.
I don't know. I guess I guess some guys like to actually like see their physical legs through the jeans. I don't know.
Yeah, not my guy. He tried it for a second. He's like, oh, these are just too skinny.
You know what? I actually knew a guy in high school. His name was Kyle, and he was like a punk rocker, and his pants were like super, 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 super tight.
And he liked them that way.
Yeah, like he was a very quiet kid. He was super nice to me, but they were super tight. And I always wondered, like, how did he walk? Like, because they were so tight.
But it might have an appearance of tightness. Back in the day, when I used to watch them on MTV, those rockers, Guns N' Roses and all of them, and Aerosmith, it might look tight to us. But something tells me it has a lot of give.
Maybe.
Might have a lot of give. Before Kim Kardashian did her Skims, they had fabric out there that was doing that,
Right,
so,
right.
God bless you, Kim. If you want to give us any product, just let us know,
Yeah, please let us know.
I'm not trying to get sucked in like that, but hey, I'll give it a try for a second. But it was a pleasure, like I said, to be on, the broadcast with you and doing another episode. And I hope you have a great week this week as we get closer and closer to Thanksgiving. I got the turkey breast. We're not doing turkeys this year. Yeah. We got turkey breast because I know how we are. We all be fighting to get the white meat. And then we're like, look, and all the dark meat goes in the refrigerator later. And then we're like, well, where's the meat for the sandwiches? And no, everybody ate all the breast. So we mostly breast people. We don't normally do the dark meat that much.
I just feel like the turkey breast is easier to reheat and it doesn't turn into a situation. And just naturally, I just like to eat turkey breast anyway. So.
Yeah, we fried turkey over here. Right. We love fried turkey breast. It tastes really good. So I know everybody else is throwing theirs in the oven and waiting so many hours. Nah, Mr. Thomas, he fires up a nice vat of peanut oil and it's going to be submerged and be out, like dunked down, come up, done. Right. We're pretty happy. He seasoned it the night before and he's never put the house on fire. So we've never been one of those houses on Channel 7 News on fire from frying turkey. He knows how to do it. Been doing it for years. Right. And the day that he no longer can do it properly, I'm sure he's going to pass the torch to one of his sons to do. So
Yeah.
Or his grandson. He might go right to his grandson. Who knows? But we do that every year. We fry a turkey and do all the fixings, and we have a nice Thanksgiving. We're ready to eat. Like, we eating around here around 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah. It's
We eat pretty early around here because we fry our turkey.
Yeah, it's like I come through with my homemade ziti that has like sauce from scratch.
Yeah.
I have perfected that, people. So
Yeah, we love your ziti.
Yeah.
We love that. We have all the fixed things, and I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. So we got to stop talking. I'm getting hungry. But I'll see you over here for family dinner pretty soon. You're on your way over?
Yes, I am.
All right. You have a great rest of the week, dear.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
I've been trying to forget, but you won't let me. Something in my brain wants you. I've been hanging by myself, asking for help, but nothing seems to work on you.
With everything crazy, you're still my source of peace. You filter out the lows,
You always
give me what I
make me
need.
feel like I'm you never leave my thoughts alone.
Disconnected, I feel the pressure, I need
You're
acceptance.
the reason I'm going out my mind. I just can't stop thinking about you. You got me feeling some type of way.
Feeling more solid about who the man in the mirror is.
You make me wanna stay in all day.
With everything crazy, you still my
You're
source
the
of peace.
reason